I would say my biggest satisfaction in the last year has been the great difference that has happened in the ways that we've brought instruction to students.
This isn't something new. This isn't going back. It's about strengthening approaches that we've had in our toolkit.
So in the past, we would have been able to detect that students were not able to read. We weren't necessarily able to correct what that meant, like what to do with that information. And now, with the new curriculum, with the Right to Read report, we recognize where those skills, what those skills are, and how to best support them along a progression of learning or a progression of development.
And that's brought enormous precision to the work that we have a chance to do with students.
Prioritizing foundational language skills. How do they fit within your art of reading instruction? We know that's what we want to work towards, and so how do we make that happen? So an early reading screener is standardized. It allows for us to gather information about whether a student has met standardized measures and allows us to, more importantly, find out more about a student's foundational language skills.
That expectation placed on schools required us at the system to develop some infrastructure that would support. So alongside of classroom educators, our early intervention teachers, our coaches, our consultants, to support interventions after these early reading screening results were shared.
We're seeing significant growth through the early reading screener. We're recognizing that we can track that growth to our early intervention efforts. We can see direct correlation between it. It's making a difference for readers. It's exciting to see that change happen in such an impactful way in a relatively short period of time.
Engaging educators as partners in that process was critical, and it looked a little bit different every iteration through the year.
So when we got those screener results, it wasn't about the score. We actually created a resource called Shifting from Scores to Skills.
Mostly through the work of classroom educators engaging in systematic and explicit instruction regularly, robustly.
And how do we recognize that the work is after the score? Differentiation for students that require additional practice and support can happen in Tier 1 instruction. Tier 1 instruction is good for all instruction. We know that 98% of our students can be successful as readers when they are offered systematic explicit instruction. One of the areas that we focused on this year was offering differentiation in a whole group, recognizing who are my learners that are in front of me and how can I differentiate for them in that whole group setting.
We don't need additional programs, we need additional time in with those children to support their skill development, and also engaging in Tier 2 instruction in their classroom.
Tier 2 instruction is the next layer of support that we would offer to students in addition to Tier 1 instruction. So it looks like small group instruction within the context of that Tier 1 instruction in the classroom. When we meet for Tier 2 instruction, it can be between 3 and 4 students for approximately 10 minutes. We recognize that the moves that we make during that time are precise and succinct, and they offer students that just right practice and reteaching of concepts that they need to continue to develop. That process involved 6-week cycles where that intervention happened. Throughout them, we engaged in progress monitoring. We made sure that the moves we were making last week made a difference this week.
What do we know about each of these learners, and how are we going to support them at a Tier 1 and Tier 2 approach or level in the classroom?
I'm at the school 1 day a week, and so it's essential that as part of the team that the collaboration happens throughout the week.
We couldn't be where we are without that collaboration and those partnerships.
We have, shared bins and resources that allow for me and the classroom educator to pass them along throughout the week. Shared lesson plans, shared goals. We think about the Tier 1 instruction that we're offering increased intensity of support with and how we're doing the exact same. each other are doing the exact same instructional moves throughout the week. That allows for us to have that consistency and for the student to have that precise instruction in that Tier 2 instruction throughout the week. If boards are on this journey and they're wondering how to start or how to continue, we want to think about how you're never alone. There's always research to lean into.
Being open to the fact that everything you do the first time may not work, and knowing when to give it just a little bit longer to try.
We need to be open to learning. We need to know what we're open to learning about so that we can prioritize it. And we need to be able to know that there's a sense of urgency to this work.
That when we think about a student with an LD profile or portrait, we recognize that additional exposure and time in with specific skills is going to make a difference.
And we need to give ourselves grace to learn and also engage in actions that make a difference for students.